proposition never tried to claim the idea that race would become the single factor into why someone would become under investigation, only that the statistical likelihood of an angry younger white person committing a crime could be used as a preventative measure, thus saving so many lives and preventing crime, making it a more effective justice system. Two questions for the House today then. First, on political correctness. Second, on what the outcomes of racial profiling look like. On the first point, they try to push the idea that this was illegitimate and wrong on principle. Three mechanisms in response then. First, that we just save more lives. Look, at the point where now you're preventing people using statistics, using other factors as well, such as the other times they've committed crimes, such as a socioeconomic class, these such as if they're just looking, quite sketchy, these are things that go into consideration as well. And thus that means if we are able to prevent a crime because of it, we're saving lives in that sense. But second, victims are also benefiting from this because now they get more protection. Because now at the point where it states in policy that this racial group is likely to do something, we can effectively target it, we can find out why. Why is this happening? Why is this likely? We can provide them more protection from this crime. It significantly benefits the minority as well. But third, it also just allows the policeman to do a better job. Because now if a policeman is scared that they are going to actually be racially profiling without them being justified, that means they're less likely to be able to do an effective job. But now when you tell them, yes, because this race is 75% more likely to commit this certain crime, when that person looks extremely sketchy, you can push them over the fence on whether or not they'll be investigated with the racial minority, with the racial profiling in mind. But second, they try to push that it creates active racism. Five responses here. Note that in Germany already, if people who are white are racially profiled, why hasn't this created active racism against white people? Why aren't the white people out on the street protesting against it? But second, that it completely takes the emotional side of racial profiling as seen on the status quo and makes it unemotional. What that does, it means that racial profiling is purely on race. It's not about if you hate that race or not, it's just about the race. That makes it significantly less racist. But second, that means that the understanding is significantly better. What it looks like is now people just using the race, just looking at the color and align with other factors into if this might be what the likelihood of this person committing a crime is. Then it's not about I hate black people, thus I'm going to racially profile them. It is that black people in America, in Chicago, are 50% more likely to commit a crime dealing with theft. Therefore, someone who's black, who's also who has a duffel bag, who's in a hoodie, late at night, I am more likely to now investigate that person without the pretense of I might be committing a crime because I'm racially profiling against them. The understanding is better for both the minority and the police and the society. But third, that this was symmetric. The racism was symmetric on either side. But at least on our side, comparatively, we're having it be justified. We're taking the racist aspect out of racial profiling. But fourth, because of the understanding, this means that racism is significantly decreased. Because now people aren't thinking, just because I hate black people, that is why they're committing crimes. It's because you actually know, because black people live in low socioeconomic areas, this is why they're committing crimes. The understanding is so much better, that's why racism decreases. But second, they tried to tell us that racial groups don't trust the police. 5 responses here. First, that we protect minorities as well. We already explained to you the idea that now that we're able to target it, we can help the minorities protect them better. But second, they're also more incentivized to change. Because at the point where you target it, when you actually state it in policy and in writing, they know something needs to change. They know that it's not just the police hating on them. They know that it's something that they actually need to change about themselves. They're more incentivized to change in that way. Third then, that there are other factors that go into this investigation. It's not that they don't trust the police just because the police is white and they're black, but also that people will have the understanding that this is not the only factor into the investigation. There are other factors that we'll put in combination, something the opposing team hasn't been able to recognize, that is, this isn't the only factor. But fourth then, even if it's symmetric on both sides of the house, as we've explained, and fifth, that now racial groups won't get as mad because there's a better understanding. Now fourth, they tried to quickly tell us that it was more embarrassing, that meant more racial tension. Three responses here. First, that they would have been embarrassed either way because racial profiling would have occurred on both sides of the house. At least on our side, it's justified by statistics. There's better understanding for both sides. But second, they'll be less endured because they understand why they're being profiled. Because they understand that their race was more likely to commit this crime, they're less likely to act more radical. That third, people who are now understanding know it's statistics based, both sides benefit from this understanding. Now let's look at the second point on the outcomes of racial profiling. They tried to first tell us that it was less effective policing. Five mechanisms in response here. First, that this is just another factor that we've already told you. It's working in conjunction with many other factors into determining if we should investigate this person, and that racial identity could be the leading factor into pushing a police officer onto the edge of investigating a person that might save lives. Second, that it makes it more effective because now it's based on statistics. Now police officers aren't racially profiling because of race, because now they're saying this is what you're allowed to do. Now they're using statistics to racially profile. It's not racist. The racism part is taken away. Third, that we simply stop more crimes because now that we're adding a more preventative measure, more crimes will be stopped, more lives are going to be saved. But four, even if that isn't true, we still empower the police to stop criminals so much better. And fifth, that everybody has to be searched on their side of the house. Now you can't use another factor to make it specifically look at who could be guilty and who needs to be investigated, but now everybody has to do it. Now that's more ineffective. Third, they tried to push on random stopping. Five mechanisms of response. First, that it is significantly not likely. We're not using just one factor. Random stoppings won't just happen. Second, that the profiling, look, even if we still have significantly better security on our side of the house, and second, even if we do not let this happen for other things as well, like the random stoppings won't just be in conjunction with just the racism itself, it occurs for other reasons. Fifth, that sometimes this benefits the minority itself. We gave you the example of a Thai girl, if they're supposed to be stopped because they could be part of things like sexual trafficking, now that minority has actually been benefited. They didn't engage with this idea. Now the last, they tried to push that they wouldn't join the police force. We reject this for three reasons. First, not just the premise, because we say that it's going to give the ability to inspire others, not just demotivate them. Second, that the understanding is significantly better and thus the incentive is better. And third, even if people would still do it for the love of the job, the fact is we get far better security, we get far better understanding for both the racial minorities, the society. We are significantly better.